So I am very excited for our next guest here at MBRF podcast because we're talking about something different comparing to the other interview. We have Hana Critchlow, a specialist in neuroscience. That's so different, Hana, than all the people that I've interviewed. To start to all our listeners who are hearing, what is neuroscience?
So neuroscience is basically one of my passions in life. It's the study of brain and behavior.
And how can we use this new neuroscience knowledge?
So I've just given a session here at the MBRF Summit, and it was a 45-minute session where I was exploring using interactive experiments and demonstrations how we're living really in the era of the brain. There's been an explosion in neuroscience knowledge over the last 20 years, and that information is helping us to understand our own behavior.
Nice.
And the neural mechanisms underpinning it, but it's also helping to inspire the creation of new artificial intelligence systems, AI systems, and brain-computer interfaces. So all of this information has massive implications for society. But really, in my session, what I wanted to focus on was how we can use this knowledge about our brains, about how our behavior is produced, so that we can better access the intelligence that we already hold within our brains, and also start to work more effectively with other people so that we can communicate and build consensus more effectively. So I had a wonderful volunteer called Stephanie up on stage, and I hooked her up to an EEG machine and I measured her brain waves. So I measured the electrical oscillations in her mind as she was thinking and feeling and doing certain tasks. And did you know, for example, that if you're working with somebody, and if you're working really well with someone and really solving a problem and innovating together, then your brainwave, the electrical oscillations in your mind actually start to become synchronized. They start to become in step with each other. And
with the other person.
With the other person, yeah. So we talk about this idea that we're in tune with another person and we're in sync with them.
That's so true.
But physiologically, that actually happens in the brainwaves as well. In the electrical oscillations that create our thinking, you can see them become synchronized with each other when we're working with others. So knowing that, is there anything that we can do to boost our brain synchronicity? So if we, for example, this is stuff that we probably already intuitively know, but it's nice that neuroscience can give us some more information so we can get a handle on it. So if we look at each other in the eye directly, that helps to help our brains become synchronized so that we can work together more effectively. If we sing together or chant, that helps to boost brain synchronicity. And if we exercise together, if we go for a run, for example, that helps us to kind of become more of a team, to gel us together. So these are things that, you know, that happen within our society naturally. And it's nice to know that actually these group activities that we do, singing or chanting together or exercising together, help us to start to see the world in the same way, help us to learn from each other, to build consensus, and literally start our brainwaves to become synchronized. It's amazing.
And how can we use that with AI, with all the changes that's happening now, with knowledge, with everything?
Well, a lot of the information, so that was just a little tidbit of information that I presented at the conference, at the summit, but you know, a lot of this new neuroscience knowledge has helped to inspire the creation of artificial intelligence systems. So based on our neural networks, how humans learn and remember and how that changes the way that electrical signals are sent across the brain, that has inspired the creation of new artificial intelligence systems, generative AI, for example, that can help to start to think and create in new ways. Now, what's really interesting is that when we've developed these AI technologies, what we found is that we can give them data, huge amounts of data that our human brain as an individual or even as groups of people wouldn't be able to process, because the processing computational power of this AI is vastly increased compared to ours, right? It's vastly bigger. So what researchers did at MIT in America, this was a few years ago, they gave them a catalogue of around, I think it was 3,000 molecules that are compounds that are known to have antimicrobial properties to them. So it's really good as an antibiotic. And So these antibiotics were basically given to the AI, and the AI was instructed, have a look through this catalogue, this library, and now I want you to then screen through 60,000 other compounds that have all been approved by the FDA, but we don't know whether they might be antimicrobial, whether they might help to fight antimicrobial resistance. And the AI basically screened through this massive catalogue of data, and what it found was one new molecule that it said, hang on a second, this might work as an antimicrobial compound that isn't resistant and that would be effective at fighting bugs. And this
found it in a very fast...
Found it in a really fast way, and it was spot on. So one compound that it found, absolutely spot on. And but the really incredible thing is that researchers have no idea why this one compound works. They still don't know. So the AI has been inspired by the way that neural networks operate, and it's been created based on our knowledge of that, but it's actually opened up our perception of the world, our reality of the world. It's opening up new possibilities, new ways of finding solutions, and we don't even understand how it's doing it. So that's just one example of how this neuroscience knowledge is actually opening up our sense of reality.
It's the reason why human can create or give to AI, but wouldn't it affect when the AI is very advanced and we create so much stuff on the neuroscience of a human, or it doesn't make sense?
Yeah, I think there's been calls for an international, I mean, a lot of researchers have been, even Elon Musk, many famous individuals have been saying, actually, hang on a second, the explosion in AI development is starting to get a little bit concerning, and there should be possibly a global mandate where we just hold off any further developments for another 6 months or a year, just scale it back a bit, and so that we can just, as humans, reflect
and be able to process what we have right now.
Be able to process what we have right now, try and come up with a global international set of agreements on how we want to proceed, how we want our relationship with AI to develop into the future, and how we want to play to our innate human strengths as well, because we do have considerable neural strengths existing within our own human brain.
True.
So now is really the time for us to really pause and reflect on what strengths AI might have, and what strengths we have, and how we want that relationship to evolve.
Makes so much sense. The different kind of angle that we spoke here. Hana, thank you so much for being with us in today's podcast and MBRF podcast. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.